book in a bed. Welcome back to our favourite time of the week. It is Moaning Mondays. We're here covering one of my favourite smutbusters, and by smutbuster, if you haven't heard of this term before, you clearly don't follow me on a lot of things, and you clearly haven't listened to a lot of our episodes. So fuck you, A. And B, it's Theirs for the Night by Katee Robert. It's brilliant. It's beautiful. It's 69 pages, and it is fucking brilliant. Where's my Kindle? Where's my Kindle? Here it is.
Yeah. I did this.
Was 69 pages.
Definitely could have been. Definitely could have been.
Katee, if you listen to this, can you let us know if that was intentional?
Yeah, Katee, let us know. But yes, Katee Robert is one of my favourite smut buster authors. She does quite a few of these smaller books that are just chef's kiss, and we appreciate her for that. She's doing the Lord's work. We love your work. What are we drinking now?
I'm really proud of myself because I did an on-theme beverage, all right? Are you ready? Strap in your titties. Because we have two love interests in this book, I am drinking two drinks. I'm double parked. So we have Blue Eyes, which is a gin that looks blue when I dilute it, and that's for Theo. And then we've got a vanilla Coke and rum, essentially, for our dark and broody.
Oh my gosh, we are literally, because I wrote in my notes that I was just drinking rum and Coke, but I'm drinking rum and vanilla Coke as well.
Whenever she gets the Coke and Royal is like a vanilla rum. So I was like, I don't have the budget to go and buy a whole new bottle of rum. This gin was $75 the other week. So here we are.
And yeah, look, I'm drinking wine just to be different. So going off theme as per my standard. And I feel like I now have the palate of a late 30s single mum. And I'm just drinking white wine. So, you know what? That's just me now. So let's just run with it.
You know what you like? All right. So how did we all feel about the book, eh? How did we all feel?
Well, again, I went in blind. What's new? Absolutely nothing. The only description I had was when Georgia was sending us like group Snapchats, and she was just shook because she's like, there are these two men that are fucking this woman and they're definitely kissing over the top of her. And I was like, interesting. But I adored this book. I tore through it in a couple of hours. I read it secretly at my job, like in between tasks, because I had to know what happened next. And that was very difficult to do for numerous reasons. If you're my employer, you don't know that. Basically, the love between Theo and Galen stole the show for me, and it was hot reading about them. And that was even before you consider a female third in that entanglement. It was the whole time. I love this book so much that I immediately went and bought the sequel. And I read that in a day as well. When I bought this book, it was free. So if you want it, it is free currently, I think. And if not, well, it makes sense why the sequel wasn't free, because she ended up getting my money anyways.
Yes.
Something I didn't like about the book, though, was there was a couple spelling mistakes or words that were just straight up missing from sentences. But hey, it was a free book, so I don't care.
It was free. It was 60 pages. Fuck it up.
Fuck it up.
I didn't even notice. I was too distracted by the penises. This book for me was probably one of my more preferred smut books that we've covered thus far. Because
there's no one's related.
No incest.
Absolutely no one.
No one's related. It's fantastic. And there has been no inappropriate usage of oil thus far. Off to a great start. Although, it did make me realise just how almost boringly straight I am. I am all here for gay and queer relationships as a supportive bystander, like lovingly saying words of praise and affirmation and waving my flag as an ally. But hopping on in amongst multiple peni is just not my jam. It's not my journey in life. And that's okay. I'm happy to read about it, though. And I did enjoy reading about it. Everyone's having a great time. I love some royal scandal. And I pictured Galen as a gruff version of Chris Hemsworth. So I've got no complaints.
God, wonderful.
Yeah.
But with an accent as well.
I thought he was like Greek.
Well, the country they hail from, is that actually a country?
There's a lot of problematic stuff in the sequel book about that country, so I'm assuming it's not based on a real place.
So, I love Katee Robert. Her books are just, as I said, chef's kiss. She is great. I've read a lot of her books, and I love pretty much all of them. I also love male, female. I just love it. I love where all the parties are equally involved and enjoying the situation as much as the next person. It is brilliant. And there's too many books out there that are simply like both men just simply enjoying the woman. So this is like a nice breath of fresh air for me. I really loved it. And yeah, I think this book is just a great small smut palate cleanser. Like it's a lot of smut. It's a lot. And it's a little bit crazy, but it's just 69 pages of this wonderful night that everyone has where they're all enjoying themselves. What more can you ask for? If I had that at 23, fuck me up. What a time to be alive.
Yeah, look, things might have turned out differently.
We get started. Chapter 1. There are only 6 chapters, so just buckle in for this. So we start this book with our main character, Meg Saunders. She works as a bartender and it is her 23rd birthday. We basically find out a snowball of information about the fact that she's stressed about money, she's struggling to make ends meet, aka she broke. And I can personally relate to this.
Yes. Meg is working with her friend Cara, and Cara is trying to convince her to go out on the town and let her hair down for her birthday. Meg thinks to herself, and the quote is, "The only thing I want is to go to bed and sleep for 12 hours. And that's what I can relate to, because that's all I want to do.
Well, Meg has run out of financial aid because that's the thing in America. You can't go to university without paying for it.
Yeah, no HECS debt
fucking
for you.
weird. Anywho. Although my HECS debt is like 60 grand.
I didn't even get a degree out of my HECS debt and I've still got one.
Yeah.
I got nothing from it except for a headache.
We're broke. We don't have financial aid. Shit's hitting the fan. So the only way we can make it through to study to become an accountant, a real accountant, not a spicy accountant, is to work multiple jobs. One of which being at the bar, working as a bartender, which I respect. I could not do that. I do not have the personality for that. I can't talk to people that I don't know.
I could do that part. I just couldn't handle getting hit on all the time. It would make me literally want to fly kick someone in the head.
But from here, I initially assumed that this book was going to be about 2 straight men spit roasting a girl. And my immediate thought was, one of the roasters will be rich and solve all of her money issues.
No, not
far off. Meg is studying to become an accountant because of trauma. And the quote is, she would have happily broken dozens of laws as a child to have a reliable income that paid the bills. Nothing would stop her from carving out the kind of safe space that financial security created. And isn't that just the truth? All we want in life is not enough money to be fucking idiots with it, but just
the amount of times that I go, God, I'd love to win the lottery and I don't need a stupid amount.
So Cara is both like, come on, Meg, let's go the fuck out. And she comes out with this quote, "I know you're broke and stressed and worried about full tuition, but if you don't take some time to cut loose, you're going to explode into a Meg-shaped puddle of anxiety and brains." Again, I just relate to that. Meg agrees to go out and Cara dresses her up. She looks hot and she has great tits. Life is great. We get this quote again. She might be an inch away from indecent exposure on both her chest and ass, but she'd be damned before she let anyone know exactly how uncomfortable she was.
That's what you had to do when you used to go out to town and you put heels on, and you have to march in heels. You have to walk confidently, because if you give in to weakness, you look like Bambi on ice.
No one wants that. And also, I have a rule. It's either boobs or legs. It cannot be both. You choose which one.
Actually, no, that's right. I'm thinking
dealer's choice.
I'm thinking of how I dress. And yeah.
I can't relate because I don't actually have boobs. So
Meg and Cara get to the bar and Abouts lets them in, but not before he gives a quick slap to Cara's bottom, which is disturbing. That really got George with a little slap motion.
It was just the word bottom.
Not ass, not caboosey. None of the, not the other words we've called asses. No, you're like bottom. One thing I do like about this series is that the author describes places and uses quotes like, "It was just another flavour of every other club in New York," and things of that ilk. So you can just copy and paste this scenario into your everyday normal life and go, yes, it is a normal club in Adelaide and I am there, and so are these 2 hot men who are about to give me a fantastic birthday.
Anyway, Meg is checking out all of the people at the bar because she is a bartender and that's what bartenders do. And so it's a habit for her. But then there are 2 guys and one is staring straight at her. Meg freezes because even his eyes, and the quote, stoked a heat inside her that had no business existing. You shouldn't feel heat in the
unless
vagine.
you're using
a
warming lubricant.
Oh, I have one of those. Quite nice, yes.
But walking into a place of commercial enterprise and seeing a fellow human, you should not feel heat.
Are you saying
in any
if you
form
walked into a club and Charlie Hunnam is there and Charlie Hunnam is looking at you very intently, that you're not going to feel warm down there?
I wouldn't feel heat.
I would
feel wet.
I would
strap in the titties.
Oh dear. So he is hot as fuck. And then he says something to his friend. He's like, hey, look at that hot chick over there. And then we get this quote. Where the first guy was almost pretty, if a woman was willing to cut herself to pieces on his beauty, this one was rough and unfinished and screamed danger in a way that made her nipples go tight. So
that's beautiful.
Meg, basically, after she gets very distracted by the gorgeous men in the corner, she loses Kara, and she ends up just toddling along towards the bar, and she spots her, and she's basically gotten them free drinks because indecent exposure with the ass and the titties will do that. That's terrifying. It's really bad, actually.
Yeah. It made me very
law. Please be safe.
Yeah, it made me. As much as I love the idea of getting free drinks and not having to pay for it, I do not. That whole scenario of letting some random person buy you drinks is very just anxiety-inducing.
Kara offers Meg either a cranberry vodka or a Crown and Coke.
I did my research. I looked into it, and so a Crown is basically a vanilla rum. So it's essentially a rum and Coke. And Meg chooses the rum and Coke, and we can relate to that on this podcast. Again, we don't do vodka because Ellie gets mean.
Well, considering vodka is a Russian invention, I just become Vladimir. So Meg looks at where the two men were, and they're no longer there. They've just disappeared.
They have winnowed.
Are they Fae? No, they're not. She feels disappointment, but she just shakes it off. Shake it off. T-Swift, she's coming back. She goes onto the dance floor, and she's dancing with Kara, and then Kara disappears with a hot guy, and then grinding ensues. And this is something that has never happened to me. When I was single and I was out of college, I'd go out with my girlfriends, and maybe I just didn't get drunk enough, but I swear that any guy that approached me or tried to touch me would get just like a fucking look of death, and I would swiftly move away, or I'd be too drunk and I would again just get mean. Anywho, meanwhile, Meg's all on her lonesome while Kara's grinding up on this guy, because clearly she has no issues with that. And she's just watching her friend try to help a stranger.
Unfortunately, the patriarchy appears and a guy gets handsy. Meg doesn't even have a chance to register the hands groping her before the hand and the body that it was attached to are gone. Yeeted. They're yeeted. She loses her balance then, because obviously the hands that were groping, touching, she's fallen. But someone catches her. It's the hot guy, who we are calling Blue, and the other hot guy, who we are calling Dark and Broody, is dragging the handsy guy away. We love that energy. He then asks if she's okay, and she is like, sure, bro. Oh, dear God, bro. We did not need that.
Why did you bring the bro into this?
I don't know. I am unsure. But then he leaned down, giving her plenty of time to react, and spoke in her ear. Dance with us? And goosebumps.
Like, there's a couple bits in this book where they're very big on consent, and they're like reaffirming it, they're checking in, and I like the giving her plenty of time to react to him going near her head, because if a guy tried to do that, I'd be like, what the fuck? You're getting a headbutt. Right, so he's just said dance with us. Us being the interesting word. And Meg's also going, that is very interesting. She's like, am I picking up what they're putting down? Maybe. But she agrees anyways. And she's thinking that they're probably gay, but then she's like, maybe they're not gay. It's hot regardless. I'm into it. And we get these little insights into their characters. So she thinks that Blue Eyes seems like the fun, cheeky one, and Dark and Broody seems to have like more military type qualities. But they take her to the dance floor, and then all of a sudden the dance floor is getting like really packed. front and there's no space between them. It gets really fucking hot because when they were dancing, they were like moving her between them like a seamless unit, like they just knew. And now there's no space and she is sandwiched. She is in a sexy Meg sandwich and it's so hot.
Oh my God.
We get this quote and it's, have a drink with us. There it was again, that word ripe with meaning, us, as if they were a unit and she could take them as one or reject them as one. Ooh,
I do not like the word
me
ripe.
neither.
So, Cara appears and, we'll put this in quotation marks, saves Meg. She drags her into the bathroom to debrief, but then Meg is like, no, put me back in, coach. I want to go!
I was hoping you would get that in.
Wow.
And then we get this quote. I know you don't really hook up, but this might be the time to make an exception. If I had a guy, let alone two, looking at me the way they are looking at you, I'd consider breaking my rule about going home with strangers. They were looking at you like they wanted to take turns eating you up. Yes. Yes. Stop it. I love it. So, Meg then proceeds to leave the bathroom and Blue Eyes and Dark and Broody are just waiting outside the bathroom for her. We then, again, get Cara's pep talk, which I love. I give you permission to go home with them and do the kind of filthy things you'll embarrass your grandchildren with stories about when you're old and senile and drunk on red wine. And then we follow that straight up with, you sure you're good with this? I fully support it if you are, but if you need a save, I will hustle you out of here like you're the nuclear football and I'm the head of the Secret Service. I just love her. I love her. Beautiful.
I was
like,
that.
This is perfect. She's like, babe, you deserve to get that dick. But if you don't want that dick, I will hustle you the fuck out of here, babe.
We are now in Blue Eyes, a.k.a. his name is Theo, so therefore his name is Teddy. So we're now in Teddy's point of view. He watches Meg and he's like, a challenge that I accept. I am coming in, literally. Galen, a.k.a. Dark and Broody, a.k.a. Chris Hemsworth, please fuck me, says it's okay for a night. Don't forget we have a tragic backstory, because they do, we just don't know it yet. Because there is plot to this book, if you hadn't already guessed. Teddy compares the way that Meg looked at him when they first made eye contact with a storm. And we all know that that's Brian's any type of like comparison between.
It's reference to a storm. Weather event. Yeah,
I love weather events. And then, look, we get this moment where I felt bad for you, Ellie, because Theo then starts calling Meg a princess. And I was like, oh, Ellie's not going to like that one. So
why must
Meg,
we do this?
Theo and Galen are getting a drink. And Theo and Galen are having a bourbon, which is relatable. And he gets Meg another Crown and Coke, which I also just realised doing my notes. Crown, royal, it's a royal drink. Get it? If you think that joke is bad, wait till you see the rest of my notes. So then Theo randomly, like, they're talking and they're getting steamy and they're basically just checking that everyone's on the same page. So Theo randomly, like, tugs her hair and she doesn't go, what the fuck, you tugging my hair? She's like, oh. Theo does lay it down for Meg. The three of them for the night. And Meg tries to get Galen to speak a bit more, and so he does. His quote is, I want to watch. I want to sit there while Theo slips a hand up your dress and plays with your pussy until you're coming, and we're the only three people in this entire fucking club who know it. When you're shaking and wondering how it can possibly get any better, I'll have my turn. Oh! This prompts Meg to realise that they want to take turns with her, like she's a merry-go-round. A Meggy-go-round, if you will. I was so proud of that joke.
It's true, though, is it not? Well, we learn that indeed. The Meggy-go-round is in business. Quote being, Theo and I have known each other a long time and we're very, very good at sharing. But again, due to my boring basic straightness, this makes me uncomfy. But at least they're not related. So yes, I'm still along for the ride.
That's one way to do it, yes. So Meg then proceeds to ask if they're serial killers, because this offer is basically too good to be true, and it's always better to be safe. Theo then says that they're not murderers, and Meg just responds with, that's something that a murderer would say, which is terribly accurate. but it's also terribly unfortunate because you're fucked if you do, you're fucked if you don't.
Yeah, exactly right. My anxiety brain thinks that if I say it out loud, it cannot be a possibility. So if I'm saying to someone, you might be a murderer, there's no way in my brain that could then
it
compute
cancels
that
out.
they would be a murderer because I've said it.
Look, Galen is like, let's bounce. So you can bounce on our collective peni. And Meg is trying to have some pride because she's trying to act like she's not very keen for the peni, but she is very keen for the peni. And Galen just says, who needs pride when you can be coming inside of 5 minutes?
Oh, yes.
I'm here for a good time, not a long time, so I'm absolutely fine with that.
So, we find out that the boys are definitely into each other too, which we love. We get this quote. If she said no, that would be the end of it. Theo would pay for her drinks, see her to a cab, and he and Galen would head back to the loft they'd rented and work off some of their sexual frustration on each other. Yes, yes, yes. They then get her verbal consent and they are touching her in the VIP lounge at the club. Beautiful, wonderful. Theo loves that she feels strong and muscled, which cannot relate to that. So they are then finger banging her, right? And then we get this. Just wait. Theo pushed a finger into her and cursed as she clenched around him. He pumped slowly, his cock jumping at the tightness that stole over Galen's expression as he watched. Theo finger-fucked Meg. Oh yeah, his friend liked to watch. Theo withdrew his hand and raised a glistening finger. Meg watched with wide eyes as Galen leaned forward and captured his finger in his mouth and sucked hard. Fuck. Sex was always rough and intense with his friend. But the new dynamic of Meg involved ratcheted up his desire for both Meg and Galen. Chef's kiss.
Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
That was so much. So we continue. The sucking of the finger in front of the
finger.
So then they skedaddle because they need to continue this in a more private setting. And they grab a cab to go fuck each other.
They do. So we're back with Meg in her POV. And as they are grabbing said cab, aka taxi, aka Uber, Meg asks if they're in a relationship. And Theo gives a sometimes yes, sometimes no kind of answer. And then her friend Cara is seeing her off into the sunset with these strange men she's met for no more than an hour. And she's like, go, enjoy yourself, have the peen. And I like the sentiment, but also, ladies, please protect your friends. Men are fucked out there. Not all men.
Yeah, too many.
But most. At least have some, yes, too many. At least
be
have some
like
sort
my
of
friend
system
Taylor,
in place.
When Georgia decided to go home with a man, Taylor slept on that man's couch.
That is a good friend.
She is a good friend. She's a good friend. Yes.
I like that.
Yes.
That's friendship.
Shout out to you.
That is so beautiful.
Shout out Taylor. So before they leave the club, they again double check to make sure that Meg is comfortable and consenting. Because remember, we're talking about a book, guys. And Meg definitely is. She's on board. They then get a cab to a penthouse looking out over Central Park. And she's thinking that they are just so rich. And so because they're rich, they probably have giant cocks. And it's like, no, Meg, they don't have giant cocks because they're rich. It's because it's a smart novel.
True.
Theo is then walking around the rented penthouse like he owns it. Like he's used to being in positions of power. So again, we get these little hints of like backstory. Will we care about it? Probably not. Galen then grabs a stack of condoms and just like drops it on the table and then settles back to watch as Theo starts to kiss her. And the quote is, he took her mouth as if he had every right to it, as if it had been his all along and he was just now assuming ownership.
Oh, beautiful. Hiya. Hiya. That was terrible.
It's been a hot minute since we've had a Hoya, so I thought I'd bring it over. Theo then positions Meg, right, and just get the logistics of the positioning. So her back is to his chest. And then his legs are spread, and he's got her legs like hooked over his legs. So that as he spreads his legs, he is spreading hers with his legs.
Spread eagle, if you will.
Like a buffet. So he's got her displayed for Galen to watch while Theo gets to work. And some quotes to guide us through this scene are: Theo's touch, while authoritative and demanding, was nothing less than reverent, and Galen's gaze was on her as much as it was on Theo.
Oh dear.
Another quote: did she want to show Galen what he was missing so he'd get his ass over there and touch her too? Fuck yes, she did.
And I just wanted to also add these two because they needed to be added, I think. We get this. She's so wet, Galen. Wet, and Theo slid his hands beneath her panties and pushed 2 fingers into her. Tight. It's a good thing we're in the mood to play. Play, like she was a toy they shared between them. And, just to sprinkle this on there as well, Theo, please. Meg didn't know what she was pleading for. An orgasm, Theo, Galen, all 3, and there is indeed all 3.
Theo then begins to finger her with his fingy, and he says, I'll tell you a secret, princess. I've never met a man with better control than Galen. It's downright supernatural. It'll take a better show than this to get him over the here to put his hands all over you. If you make it very, very good, I'll even let him use his mouth.
Very warm in here.
But not in the vagina area.
You want a temperature control down there so that the yeast levels don't get exacerbated.
We like our pH levels to be on point.
Exactly right. But Theo, aka Teddy Bear, teases Meg for a while. And then she admits she wants them both. Can't relate. One is enough for me, but that's fine. So Galen joins them in the fray. As if it's a fight of penises.
It's a penile brawl.
Have you ever seen giraffes fight on the Discovery Channel where they just use their heads? That's what I'm imagining.
Look, I'm even in a brown sweater. It kind of works.
If for those who are video only, Bridie is giving you a full display of what we are imagining right now.
All right, Meg is getting incredibly turned on by all of this attention. And just when she thinks that Galen is about to make out with her, he starts kissing Theo instead.
So sweet.
You get this bit where, like, his, like, rough face with his facial hair skims her as he goes for Theo. Yeah. She's like, oh.
No. Just a hard no for me. Facial hair.
I'm exfoliate me.
In the skin region.
Scratch me up, baby.
No.
So the quote we get is, no. Calling it a kiss was too mundane by far. Galen and Theo came together like 2 titans clashing, like opposing forces of nature, where one had to submit or they would destroy each other.
That is beautiful. So they swap positions. So Galen is now propping her up, and Theo proceeds to literally just fucking yeet her underwear, like rip it right off her human. Galen then tells Meg not to move while Theo starts touching her. She agrees, and then we get a good girl.
I think I just had an aneurysm.
Yep.
Oh, an aneurysm or an
orgasm? An aneurysm.
Aneurysm. We are coining this new phrase called an aneurgasm.
Aneurgasm.
And yeah, that is our contribution to the scientific community.
Yes, it is. And that's all you're getting. The boys, they're working her like they're pumping up a football, but they're not.
You voluntarily put pumping into this?
Anyway, we get this moment where Theo and Galen make eye contact while Theo goes down on her, and this sends her hurtling into an aneurgasm. Theo then gets his dick out, and again, of course, it's fucking massive. It is a horse-sized giant cock.
Shlong. To shlong.
It's a shlong.
What's that? See, there's what was it? A peni, and then a shlong. That's your Starbucks penis size.
Yes. Theo then eases his massive shlong inside of her vagina, which is quite thoughtful of him, really. But Meg really does not care for this, and she just wants full force of the shlong.
She would like full force penetration.
Mm-hmm.
Ew.
Galen then starts licking her while Theo is fucking her.
Oh my God.
So logistics. He's licking her coochie while Theo is going in her coochie suit.
So she is like straddling Galen, right? On the couch.
She's riding his face.
So, and Theo is from behind fucking her, and Galen has slid down underneath her legs to be eating her out, and his hands are over the top of Theo's hands.
That makes a bit more sense.
And I mean,
Theo's
the quote is
almost hitting his chin.
He's exfoliating. The quote is, the sight of Galen's dark head between her thighs, of knowing exactly how close his mouth was to Theo's cock. Her whole body went tight and she moaned.
Yes.
I was confused about the logistics, but we've covered that, so we're all good now. Anyway, they all orgasm, and it's a whole time. Specifically, the quote is, he came with a curse, and they both melted into a puddle on top of Galen. And just the imagery of two people melting into a puddle on top of someone else's face.
I love it.
It's just a lot.
So, post-fuck, they're getting
indeed.
a snack, a little snacky snack. And Galen gives her a bathrobe to put on, and she realises that she's recognising their individual smells.
She's very observant, though. She can identify each of their comes. She's like an animal tracker where they can
this is Galen's cum.
The droppings of animals.
Meg is also realising that Galen positions himself in any room where he can monitor from all angles, and that Theo is actually the one calling the shots. So again, getting plot.
Power dynamics and all that jazz.
Yeah, it is. Although I don't think I'd ever recognise that or notice that in like a real person scenario ever. I'd just be like, oh, okay, you're sitting here. I'm standing here. What am I doing?
Ellie is
I have no,
boring and
care about what you're
Ellie
doing.
doesn't give a fuck what you're doing. She's only worried about what she's doing.
I'm selfish. Moving on. Galen right now is thinking about how this can only be for one night. But Theo, Teddy Bear, has other plans. We get more hints and a mysterious backstory, which is weird because we now have a plot line, and I don't believe that's necessary for a 69-page book, but here we are. They play a weird game of like kind of hide and seek, which ends with Meg jumping on Galen and wrapping her legs around his waist saying, I caught you. And that seems really weird and not entirely sexy and definitely odd, but also like...
Ellie's like, no, so, I'm not boring. I will... jump on you.
I've been drunk enough. You know the scene from The Notebook where she's like, say you're a bird, and he's like, I'm a bird, and then they're both birds in the water, and it's very cute. I've had that where I've been very, very drunk, lying in bed with Lockie, and I've been like, I'm a butterfly. And he's like, what? I'm like, say you're a butterfly, and he's like, no. I'm like, you're a butterfly. And I'm like flapping my wings, and I like fully morphed into a butterfly, like I emerged from my cocoon.
Look,
it's surprising that he chose to have children.
I would have still chose Ellie. Yeah. Fuck it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I have a beautiful...
Wait!
Not anymore. It's been ruined.
Why? Why does that have anything to do with anything? I was just thinking, like, I would still choose you because even if you're a butterfly and you're like, yeah, my vagina's still nice. My vagina's pretty. I have a nice vagina. I'm like, what?
And I just thought it was relevant to the storyline.
We then get this, which is, Meg seemed to sense the direction of his thoughts. She slipped to her knees as graceful as a queen. He'd know he'd seen more than one in his time. Galen pushed the thought away, just like he always did when memories of home threatened to intrude on his new reality. And it's like, this is now indeed the backstory. So just take notes of these information dumps.
Plotline.
Meg proceeds to give Galen a gobby.
Oh dear God, gobby.
And the quote is, it only got better when Galen looked up to find Theo leaning against the bedroom door, watching them with that possessive look of a king surveying his kingdom. So now the royalty references are getting laid very thick. Meg was apparently thoroughly enjoying giving Galen a slobby gobby, but then Theo is there.
A slobby gobby.
Which also, Meg, why are you lying?
Stop, you're a fucking liar.
No, we need to stop lying about our enjoyment about giving head jobs, okay?
Basically, Theo picks Meg up and yeets her onto the bed, and then both men are getting all of their clothes off and their dicks out. And of course, they are both massive. It's Shlong Central.
Shlong City over here.
It is Grand Shlong Station over here. Choo-choo. And the quote is, he kissed her as Galen moved up to her back, mirroring the position they'd held while dancing. Except nothing stood between them now. There were no witnesses to watch Galen cup her ass and slide his big hand down to spear her from behind with his 2 fingers, or to see Theo use his tangled hold on her hair to guide her to kiss first him and then Galen, or to view her take each man's cock in her hand and stroke them.
Oh God, she truly is just.
That's a lot. She's like a Subway artist, just getting those sandwiches ready, those 6 inches, the footlongs. Just.
This episode is brought to you by Subway.
Right. Well, a quick side note here on the whole slobby gobby fiasco. The quote is for here at this point. Then there was no time for thinking because she sucked him deep until he bumped the back of her throat. And then she took him deeper yet. I'm sorry. Does that mean she started to swallow his penis? Because I'm not sure how much space you've got to work with if the peni is already at the back of your throat.
In and then bobbed that back. And so then she just...
That's what people with no vomit. Yeah, they can just literally, they just start swallowing it.
Reflex.
That's exactly what they have to do. Yeah.
Do you know that's what snakes do?
I cannot relate. I am not a snake.
No, I cannot relate. Like, as soon as it enters my mouth, I'm like...
So, she then takes Theo's cock into her gob, and then Galen's cock into her vagina.
Of course.
And gosh, this is a capacity issue for me.
Yes.
Meg then takes a minute to adjust, but then she's thoroughly enjoying the spit roast. His muscles flexed beneath her grip, and Galen's hands spasmed on her hip and clicked, and she knew without a shadow of a doubt that they were kissing above her back while buried deep inside her. And that might just be one of my favourite quotes because that is beautiful. That visual, I love that. So we also get another quote at this moment, which is, she wasn't sure she believed in a god, but she tasted heaven in Theo and Galen's touch. I'm not sure if she's just tasted the bodily fluids. JC's still on the bodily corner.
Are you still here?
Sit in the naughty corner.
Theo decides that he most definitely likes this, and he would really, really like it to be more than a one-night thing. Galen is like, no. And Meg is like, no, but maybe yes. But then Galen and Meg end up distracting Theo with sex so that he forgets his commitment issues. It's the next morning. Galen and Theo aren't in bed, and Meg is thinking about how much she likes them, but she has no time to date. And the quote is, Meg didn't have time to date, which we've just established, let alone to enter into a complicated relationship already in existence. If Theo and Galen weren't together, they were still more than friends. Being third to anyone, let alone these two, was out of the question. Fun for a night? Hell yes. Fun for weeks or months or, God forbid, years? No way.
Okay, this leads me into a discussion of polyamory. Do you know anyone who was in a polyamorous relationship?
Personally know anyone.
We know a human who she lived with 2 people and they had a baby and she was still living with the people. And then she started taking time off of work when the baby was born, and we were like, why are you taking time off if you're just the housemate? Turns out she's not just the housemate. She's mummy.
She's the third.
Mummy too. As has been
Ellie,
very
boring
well
and selfish.
I cannot share.
Like I've said before, I really like Red Table Talk, and Willow talks a lot about her experience with being in open relationships and poly and all of that. And for her, it's like she actually experiences joy from watching her partner be loved by someone else in that way. She actually that's part of the joy for her.
That's nice. That's a nice way. I like that.
I feel like if I experienced my partner having joy from someone else, I would be like writing up those consent orders.
There's also a podcast I used to listen to called Clit Talks, and they were at the beginning it was 7 women in all various different stages talking about all things, and it was just really great.
I don't personally know anyone
an open relationship,
friends with anyone that is in a poly relationship or an open relationship, but like I follow a lot of people like on Instagram and stuff like that are, and yeah, I mean, I'm one of those people. I identify as pan, but I never necessarily want to put myself directly into one box forever. So I'm just like, I just love seeing people just be happy. I think that's my whole thing. I'm like a human. I'm a people lover. So I'm just like, you being happy, I love that for you. You do that. Makes me happy, seeing you happy. I would personally, I don't think I would be able to share my partner. I don't know. So either way, she leaves her number because she feels weird sneaking out like a thief after she had them in all of her holes and crevices, all the Shlongs, Peanut. She ends up walking past a room on her way out. It's an office, and there's chatter coming from the office, and the two hole fillers are chatting, and Galen isn't happy again, of course, because he's just dark and broody, of course. He thinks Theo is thinking with his penile and not his head, and we are unsurprised with this development.
She sees Theo wearing a suit, which, chef's kiss, we like a suit. But she also finds out who he is, which is royalty. Introducing Emilia Mignonette Thermopolis Rinaldi, Princess of Genovia. But really, it's not actually that. It's actually Theodore Fitzcharles III, former Crown Prince of Thermalia, who is missing, a.k.a. the party boy prince who had somehow managed to lose his throne and devastate his country in the process, which kind of reminds me of that Charlene, whatever the fucking name is, who's the princess of Monaco right now. She just went fucking missing for a while and tried to run away from her wedding. Gives me the same vibes.
So Meg is like, fuck me, I've got to skedaddle. This is too much. And she stares at his profile one time through the little light crack in the door. And the quote is, he really was beautiful in the way of fallen angels, but a fallen angel was just a prettier name for a demon.
Oh, God.
Love that. I love that.
She's just taking a turn now. She's like, one minute, stick your head in my vagina. Next minute, you're a demon.
You are a
Curse
demon.
You out.
The next quote we get is, she'd miss them though. After spending a night in bed with a prince and his bodyguard, how could a normal guy compare?
True.
And the book look, she's not wrong. She's not wrong.
Oh.
The book ends with Theo and Galen chatting. We find out that Theo is in danger, and if he continues to see Meg, she will be too. So they're going to pack up their skedaddling as well. Everyone's eating the premises. The poor maid that is going to have to clean up this apartment is in for a rude shock. Anyways, Theo finds the number that Meg has left behind because she wrote it down and then she realised who he was, and so there was all too late. And the book ends with this quote, with Theo saying, "Game on, princess." So I immediately went out and bought the sequel.
So Bryony yeeted and got the sequel. Thank you, Katee Robert, for this.
Thank you, Katie. But by the end of the second book, I was like, all right, the itch is scratched. I'm good now. I think there's a third book, but I'm scratched. I'm good.
So the book has ended, but we do have a music reference for you all. And it is Miracles Happen When You Believe by Myra. Purely because I wanted another Princess Diaries reference. So here you go. Please enjoy.
Look, is it miracles happen because we didn't have a smart book with incest?
Yes, that's it. Slow clap.
Look,
we need to repent
next
our
up on
sins.
the podcast, we have What Lies Beyond the Veil, which I have ordered, and it is literally sitting behind my bed in a package waiting to be opened. But after that,
Yay.
all right, fishbowl time. Okay. Green, that's a listener book. The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller.
Yay! I'm so excited for this book.
Yay!
Next week we've got Lies Beyond the Veil. Week after, Song of Achilles. Get ready. These are books you want to be here for. We love you.
That was such aggressive affection. Please remember to like, follow, and subscribe. Please rate us on all of our platforms because that is apparently very helpful. We would like your help, so thank you. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at A Book and a Bev podcast. We post reels, we post aesthetic videos, we're posting quotes. We're giving you a lot of content, so please follow. Oh yeah, we may or may not be having a gap for Dry July, so just a heads up. We'll still have content for you guys during that time, but just a heads up. And we will be doing a giveaway soon because Georgia is literally 500 off of having 10K on TikTok. So if you would like to be a part of that giveaway, you need to find us and Georgia on TikTok.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Anyway,
Anyways,
we'll see you guys. We'll see you guys next week for another episode.
All right, moving on.
Bye.
Bye.